Yo guys, what's up? Russ here with episode 10 of going through my comic book collection. This thing is getting close to done. After this episode, there's only two left. I have my X-Men box here to go through. It's X-Men and Uncanny X-Men. And I think that's about it in this box. And next time will be my final uh, normal short box right there behind the fan. Can't really see it that good. And then episode 12 will be this CGC box and all the books on this bottom bookcase over here that I have top loaded. But let's jump into episode 10 with some X-Men. First up here, I've got X-Men Alpha. This was the start of Age of Apocalypse. Love this chrome cover. This does have a wraparound. Let me move up the backing board here. Very cool issue right here, X-Men Alpha. Followed up by X-Men Omega. Again, both of these are wraparounds. I'll just take the backing board all the way out here. Check that out. I got a great deal on these. I picked up X-Men Alpha, X-Men Omega, and X-Men Prime, which I think I showed the Prime in the last episode, episode 9. But I picked all three of these up on eBay for like $10, I think. Very cool issue. This was had to do with the Age of Apocalypse storyline, which is one of my favorite X-Men stories. Adjust this box a little bit so they don't all fall forward. I have X Universe, some more Age of Apocalypse stuff. I do have 2 copies of this. I think one was in an AOK and the other was in the lot I ordered off of eBay. Here's X Universe 2. I've got Astonishing X-Men. These next, yeah, okay. I've got the entire Age of Apocalypse story here. This is another lot I got real lucky with on eBay. Picked up the entire lot for just like $20 or something crazy. Super cheap. The Astonishing X-Men 2. Age of Apocalypse was such a good storyline. That and Onslaught and Days of Future Past and Dark Phoenix Saga. Some of the greatest X-Men stories ever. Here's Astonishing 3. For those that have seen the room tour videos, I do have the Age of Apocalypse figures down here on this second shelf right here. You can kind of see some of them. There's a few more I still need to get. I need to get the Age of Apocalypse Wolverine, and they just came out with an Age of Apocalypse Gambit I need to pick up. And there's a Age of Apocalypse Jean Grey from an older wave I need to get. But anyway, here's Astonishing X-Men issue 4. Awesome road cover. Moving on to the Amazing X-Men issue 1. Definitely recommend reading Age of Apocalypse if you haven't yet. Amazing X-Men 2. It should still be really easy to get your hands on these single issues if you can't find a trade or an omnibus or something. Because like I said, I picked up the whole Age of Apocalypse story off of eBay for like 20 bucks. Amazing X-Men issue 3. Great cover with Apocalypse and Magneto there. Got Amazing X-Men issue 4. Moving into Factor X here, issue 1. Awesome cover with Cyclops and Dark Beast. This might be my favorite version of Cyclops from Age of Apocalypse. Of course, I do love the animated series version as well, but Age of Apocalypse to me was so good. It's Factor X issue 2. Here's issue 3. Pretty much in Age of Apocalypse, all the teams got their own like 4-issue run. Here's issue 4 for Factor X. His Generation Next, issue 1. There's issue 2. There's 3. I can never remember which storyline came first, the Onslaught or Age of Apocalypse. I think Onslaught came first, but I'm not 100% sure. And there's issue 4 of Generation Next. Moving into Excalibur issue 1. Cool Nightcrawler cover. Excalibur issue 2. Get some of the glare off of that. There's issue 3. Got issue 4. Crazy looking cover here. Gambit in the Externals, issue 1. This is the Gambit figure they recently made. Gambit in the Externals, issue 2. Issue 3 of Gambit. Issue 4. Gambit to me has always been such a cool character. The first time I ever saw Gambit was in the animated series. All right, now we're getting into some Weapon X. Awesome cover here with Wolverine and Jean Grey. I love the costume redesigns they did for Age of Apocalypse, man. They're so cool. The Weapon X issue 2. Weapon X3. And issue 4. And that wraps it up for the Age of Apocalypse books. Now I'm moving into X-Men and Uncanny X-Men. Kicking it off here with issue 1 from the Jim Lee run. This one is the full wraparound cover. They made covers for each one of these, but instead of like trying to get all the different covers, I just went for the one giant wraparound cover. And there is actually a poster on the other side of this. Pretty cool. Here's issue 2. I'm still missing issue 3 and 4 in this run. I know 4 is one of the Omega Red first appearances. I do have issue 5. I'm not sure if there's any significance to issue 3, so I should be able to get that one pretty easy, but issue 4 is probably going to be a little tough to get right now. It jumps from issue 5 to issue 11. One of my all-time favorite covers here. It's awesome Jim Lee cover. This is just like the regular standard cover. I think there's like a silver one or something. But I love this cover. It's issue 12. And it jumps to issue 38. Awesome Gambit and Sabretooth cover here. Really cool stuff. And here's an issue that I finally picked up. I can't remember if it was last year or the year before last at Heroes Con. It says $15 on it, but I got it for half off. So I got it for like $7 and change. But this awesome Gambit and Rogue cover. So glad I finally added that one to my collection. We're getting X-Men 25 here. Part of the Fatal Attraction story where Magneto just completely ripped the adamantium out of Wolverine. Such a good storyline, man. This is another one with a wraparound cover, so I'll show the back side. Here's another favorite cover of mine, X-Men 26. Awesome Captain America and Scarlet Witch hanging out with Cyclops and Rogue. Love this cover. X-Men 27. Very cool Mr. Sinister cover. Here's another good one, X-Men 28. That Jean Grey and Sabretooth. X-Men 29. Cool cover here as well. And here's another one I picked up just in the last maybe 2 or 3 years. This is another issue I never had back in the day. They just added it to my collection within the last 2 or 3 years. It's X-Men 30, The Wedding of Scott Summers and Jean Grey. Another very cool Kiss cover. X-Men 34. Some more goodness with Gambit and Beast there. Cyclops hanging out too. I almost said Cyclops. Speaking of Cyclops, here's X-Men issue 35. I dig those costume designs. The classic from the animated series and the Age of Apocalypse will probably always be my first two favorites. Here's X-Men issue 44. Awesome Cyclops cover here, just kind of blasting through the wall, knocking the logo all over the place. X-Men issue 49. Yep, 49. Cool Bishop cover. Here's issue 50. This might be a wraparound. It is. This is one that I eventually need to get another copy of because it's got a stupid price sticker on the back. I can't stand when people put stickers directly on the covers, man. I don't know what's wrong with people when they do that junk. But this is one I need to get an upgrade for eventually. Either that or just figure out how to get the sticker off without damaging the book. Always have a hard time getting the backing board back in there. The struggle is real. Riveting television right here. X-Men issue 51. It's starting to roll into the Onslaught story. Got issue 52. The sticker is on the bag, not the book, thankfully. And we got issue 53, the first full appearance of Onslaught. Such a cool character. Hopefully one day they do something in the movies with Onslaught. I would love to see like a big screen adaptation if they did it right. They've still yet to do the Dark Phoenix right on the big screen. So hopefully if they ever do Onslaught, they don't screw it up. Here's issue 54. Reveals the identity of Onslaught, which I won't spoil for those that haven't read it and still want to, because it's such a good storyline. Got X-Men 55. '56. I've pretty much got the entire Onslaught run except for like maybe one or two of the tie-ins. I think there's an issue of Thor that I need that's a tie-in, and oddly enough, there was an issue of a Green Goblin comic that I think was a mini-series that had one issue tie-in. Here's X-Men 57. Cool cover on this one, man. It jumps to X-Men issue 71. This was the next few were another lot that I ordered off of eBay a couple years back. Here's another all-time favorite cover. I've got X-Men issue 72, Wolverine versus Marrow. This was an awesome issue, dude. Marrow does something to Wolverine in this issue when they were fighting that sets off this like berserker side of Wolverine, which is when Wolverine is at his best to me. Such a cool read, X-Men issue 72. This next one I actually got in a mystery box. I think it was when Bake the Snake used to do mystery boxes back in the day. I think this came out of there. Gosh, I'm not sure the issue. Okay, it's written on the back. It's X-Men issue 11, Nakayama Secret Virgin Variant. Awesome cover, man. Jean Grey, Wolverine, and Cyclops just in the background like, yo, what's up? Here we got X-Men issue 1. This was the Marvel Milestone edition. I can't remember what year the Marvel Milestones reprints occurred. I'm thinking it was 90s though, early 90s, when they did these Marvel Milestone reprints. I have the facsimile edition of Giant Size X-Men 1. Somehow one day, I don't know how, but I hope to have the legit Giant Size X-Men 1 back in my collection. For those that don't know the story, years ago when I was a kid, like 12, 13, I was at a flea market and I actually found a Giant Size X-Men 1 in the dollar boxes. And even back then, I think the book was going for like 200, 250 or something crazy. But 12, 13-year-old kid, I had no idea what it was, what the significance of it was. No idea what a key comic was. I just loved the X-Men from the animated series cartoon, and I picked that up out of a dollar box. And I had it for years. And when I turned 20, I had to sell a bunch of my collection. Still didn't know what anything was worth or the significance of this book. And it got sold in a lot of X-Men books for like 35 bucks. And it wasn't until 2015, 2016 when I started getting back collecting. The first thing I did was I started going through and trying to remember all the books I had and getting them one by one to build my collection back up. And like all of them were like dollar books. So it was like real easy to rebuild my collection when I started collecting again. And then when I looked this book up, I was like, oh God, never getting that back in the collection again. Because it was like ridiculously priced. And now it's even like more. I think it's like $1,000 or something almost for like a 1.0. So I'll likely never get the original back in my collection, but I do have the facsimile. Another facsimile here, X-Men issue 4. Picked up the facsimile of this back when it came out. I won't say 2019, 2020 maybe when they came out with this facsimile. And I do have Giant Size X-Men issue 2, thanks to my buddy Kava. You've sent it in an AOK along with some other awesome books a few years back. This all new, all different X-Men issue 101. This one came packaged with a Phoenix figure, and you can actually see it back here on the shelf. Came packaged with that figure, Marvel Select, I believe. But I do have the original of this. I got it in my CGC box, which will be in a future episode. I have Uncanny X-Men issue 139. This is another book I've had for years. I picked this up at a comic shop for like $5, probably 15, maybe 20 years ago at this point. But this is, I think, the first appearance of Wolverine's brown suit. And it's also the first issue where Kitty Pryde joins the X-Men. It's not her first appearance. Her first appearance was issue 129, but 139, I think she officially joins the team here. Got Uncanny X-Men issue 157. Cool Phoenix cover. Dark Phoenix, I should say. Got Uncanny X-Men issue 158. And I think this is the first appearance of Rogue in an X-Men comic book, if I'm not mistaken. I've got Uncanny X-Men 164. This was the first appearance of Binary Miss Marvel. And I've got Uncanny X-Men issue 171. This is where Rogue officially joined the X-Men as part of the team. Awesome issue and a really cool read. Definitely recommend reading this one if you haven't. Awesome issue. Uncanny X-Men 171. Here's another great cover, Uncanny X-Men 173, Rogue and Wolverine. Got oh, this is a double-sized issue here, Uncanny issue 168. Got Forge and Storm hanging out on the cover. Got Uncanny X-Men issue 190. Got Uncanny 192. Uncanny X-Men issue 194. Cool Juggernaut cover here. Uncanny X-Men 196. Wolverine in the Shadows. Got Uncanny X-Men 199. Some more Phoenix here. Uncanny X-Men 203. Oh, this was a Secret Wars Part 2 tie-in. Oddly enough, I don't have any of the Secret Wars 1 or 2, except for Secret Wars issue 8 that I got AOK'd a few years ago by my buddy Matt. This is a great cover. Uncanny X-Men 207. Wolverine just slicing through the page. Got Uncanny issue 218. All ladies on this one. Got Uncanny X-Men 223. Great Storm cover. Got Uncanny X-Men 225. This is the one where Colossus just hanging out in a Speedo for some reason. Uncanny X-Men 230. Books are sliding. Got Uncanny X-Men 245. Uncanny X-Men 253. Got Forge just chilling in the booty shorts. Got Uncanny X-Men 259. We've got the facsimile of Uncanny X-Men 266, which was the first appearance of Gambit. This is another one that eventually I need to get the real deal of. I picked up the facsimile just so I could read the story because Gambit, one of my all-time favorite X-Men up there with Rogue. And I do have Rogue's first appearance, which is awesome. But eventually, I need to pick up the real deal for Uncanny X-Men 266. Here's a cover that's another favorite of mine. This is another one I never had back in the day. I just picked up a couple years ago, or I can never remember what books I picked up 2 years ago at Heroes Con and which books I picked up last year. But anyway, this was a Heroes Con pickup, Uncanny X-Men 268. Another just all-time favorite cover of mine with Wolverine, Black Widow, and Captain America. Just added this to the collection last year or the year before last. Awesome cover here. I don't think it's a wraparound. Okay, it's not. But Uncanny X-Men 274, Rogue in the Savage Land. The other characters on the cover don't matter. We just got Rogue in her Savage Land gear. That's all that matters on this cover. Got Uncanny X-Men 277. Wasn't really wild about these costumes, but they've been kind of growing on me. I appreciate them a little bit more than I used to. Got Uncanny X-Men 278, another cool Rogue cover. In the grip of the Shadow King. Got Uncanny X-Men 279. Uncanny 280. Uncanny X-Men 281. Great cover on this one. Colossus, Jean, and Storm. Love that cover. These next two make up the first appearance of Bishop. We have Uncanny X-Men 282 and 283. We got Uncanny X-Men 285. Uncanny 287. Here's another cool Bishop cover, Uncanny 288. Here's a classic Storm cover, Uncanny 290. I know my buddy Bubs and John's Comics with Kids can both appreciate this cover. Got Uncanny 291. Uncanny 293. I think this one is still, yeah, this is still actually sealed. It's Uncanny X-Men 296, Part 9 of the Executioner Song. It does have a card in the back. I'll just take it out of the bag here. There's the card that it came with. Never actually read this storyline. I think this is the only issue I have in the Executioner Song. So I'm not sure if that was a good storyline or not. Got Uncanny 297, which this says Song's End, so it might be the end of that storyline. Got Uncanny 298. That's a great cover. Got Uncanny 299. There's issue 300. Oh, I'm surprised that's not a wraparound cover. Got issue 302. Got Uncanny 303. Apparently, this was a very must-read issue that I still haven't read yet. So I don't know what goes down in this issue, but this is one that I need to leave out and give a read to because I've never read this issue before. Got Uncanny X-Men 304. Another part to the Fatal Attraction story. Here's another great cover with Rogue and Bishop. It's Uncanny X-Men 305. And this is one that I found years ago in the dollar bins that I need to upgrade this issue because the cover is actually detached. It falls off. And yeah, you can see it's tore up here too, but I don't really care too much about that, but I do like the covers to be attached. So eventually I need to hunt down an upgrade to this book. Got Uncanny X-Men 306. .308. Uncanny 310. .311. Cool Sabretooth cover. Uncanny 314. Uncanny 315. Uncanny X-Men 316. This was part one of Generation Next. Maybe it was one of the lead-ins to Age of Apocalypse, maybe? Not sure. Got Uncanny 318. Looks like Jubilee got kicked out the club. Awesome cover here with Cyclops and Angel. Uncanny X-Men 319. Love that cover, man. Uncanny X-Men 320. Legion Quest Part 1 of 4. I got this one out of one of the Wizard magazines back in the day. But I think there's a standard edition too, like a newsstand edition. But this one I picked up in Wizard. We got Uncanny X-Men 322. Love this cover too. Juggernaut just laid out. This was the beginning, or one of the beginning issues to Onslaught. Okay, here we have a wraparound cover. It's Uncanny X-Men issue 325. Another one of the anniversary issues. And this one I think is a fold out as well. It is. So I'll go ahead and fold out the entire cover right fast. Got Uncanny X-Men issue 328. Psylocke and Sabretooth, awesome cover. Got Uncanny 332. Another great Gambit cover with Jean Grey, issue 333. All hands against them. Got Uncanny 334. The Return of the Unstoppable Juggernaut. Got Uncanny X-Men 335. Onslaught Phase 1. Uncanny 336. Got Uncanny X-Men 337. Getting close to the end of this box. Uncanny X-Men 340. Cool Iceman cover. We got Uncanny X-Men 346. Spider-Man guest star in there. Love that cover. Let's see. I think this one might have a wraparound cover on it. It does not. Okay. And ending it off, I know this one has a wraparound. One of my favorite issues is Uncanny X-Men 350. It's all about Gambit. And check out Rogue on the back cover, dude. Awesome art. And it's a shiny cover too. Heck yeah. This is another issue I highly recommend reading if you haven't. If you're an X-Men fan at all, check out this issue. We get the backing board back in here. Maybe. There we go. And that is it for episode 10 of going through my comic book collection. There's only 2 left. I've got the my last short box back here, and then the CGC box and the books on the bottom bookcase there, and that will wrap it up. But that's it for this one. I'll catch you guys next time with episode 11. Appreciate everybody that hung out and watched, and anybody that catches on the replay. And I'll see you guys next time. Keep it 9,000.